Today on the channel, we take the Defining Moments line to the extreme with Defining Moments ringside collectible exclusive, Paul Heyman.
Kyle steps up, he's on with the mic, the warrior's heart, ready to strike, revealing heroes from every dimension, each piece of story, a bold intention. What are we doing in this plastic prison, searching for freedom, cutting through the lies?
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another WWE Mattel ringside collectible exclusive. This time, we got the Elite Defining Moments line with Paul Heyman. But for all your Paul Heyman needs, make sure you end up ringside collectibles. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. Got to get a deal out there. And we got the latest line of Defining Moments. Pretty excited about the Defining Moments return. But some interesting ones that maybe don't feel quite defining, ones that maybe feels a little bit too soon, and ones like Paul Heyman here where basically, I guess I was going to say a manager, which he definitely was and currently is. I guess this is more of a figurehead version, and One Night Stand, definitely a defining moments. One of my favorite, most memorable moments in probably my pro wrestling fandom is I was a big ECW guy. I've told it on the channel for many years. My history with ECW and all the things I had to do to even to be able to watch ECW as a kid from the Midwest. Yes, you're right, Tom McFarland, Midwest KP in the house. It was a lot of work, and it was worth it because I love Paul Heyman. I love ECW, but I love Paul Heyman too. It goes around the love. I got enough love in here to spread around, but I did a lot of work to be able to watch ECW and get my passionate wrestling fandom once upon a time. And this one, truly a defining moment from the One Night Stand. Never forget that moment. Quite the wild scene. I wish it could have went on and kept the flame alive. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But one thing, fortunately, that will happen in this very review is how we're going to do that review. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And my first ever memories of Paul Heyman, I'd be interested to hear yours. Mine go back to the NWA days. He was the manager of the Samoan SWAT team. That was the first time I ever really remember seeing Paul Heyman. And it's weird, I really remember my house I lived in, the house I grew up in as a little kid. I remember just watching it and see it on the screen. There's a Samoan SWAT team. And I think it was like WCW Sunday Night. I forget what the Sunday Night show was. And I believe they were taking on the Road Warriors, which seemed wild to me because WWF at the time, a lot of jobber matches. This was two heavy hitter teams going after each other. So that was pretty cool to see for young little Kyle and old Kyle as well. But obviously fell into Paul Heyman's magic spell at that point. Followed him around NWA. WCW with the Dangerous Alliance, an all-timer of an organization. Loved the Dangerous Alliance. That's where I really, really loved Paul Heyman. And then obviously everything ECW related over to WWF with Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, now currently the Bronson brothers. He's a guy that's gotten around. He is a Hall of Famer, but this is one of his truly magical moments. And you could almost pretend this is that barely legal speech Paul Heyman if you want to. Doesn't have to necessarily be WWE version, which it is though at the end of the day. But let's dive into it here. Let's dive into the unboxing. Defining moments. Paul Heyman. A lot of accessories with this one. Now it is hallmarks of the Defining Moments packaging, but a lot of twists. Obviously the ringside collectible exclusive sticker right there in the forefront. Obviously this is a ringside exclusive. Use code Kyle, save yourself 10%. But the packaging brought down a ton from those earlier Defining Moments from the first go around, even the second go around. Now the third go around is what we'll call these packaging differences. A lot of differences in the sizing here, but quite the figure Paul Heyman. I think it's on back order if I'm not mistaken. So there is some popularity around this Paul Heyman figure, but does look good. You got the window box here, the Defining Moment packaging, the championship, all of that. There's old Paul Heyman looking extra devious with that ECW hat on. Same thing on the other side here. And then we get quite the blurb on the back. And then we get a little glamour shot of Paul Lee doing his thing, doing Paul Lee things on the microphone is what he's doing. ECW One Night Stand 2005. Never forget. And I remember where I was watching that pay-per-view. I was at Hooters. Yes, Hooters. Dining on some chicken wings is what I was up to. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, we used to go to all the pay-per-views with local wrestlers in the independent wrestling scene. I was a brother in arms, Tom McFarland is what I was. But we'd go with all the guys and we'd hang out and party until the break of dawn at Hooters, man. That's the way it goes. And my wife had a lot of fun at Hooters too. She's might get a job there later. We'll see what happens. But never forget watching that, just being like, I wish I got that. I remember thinking though, Tom McFarland on the couch, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Summers just listening in. Mark, you're not allowed to talk in this one. I remember saying, I wish I got this at home. This is a very important pay-per-view. I wish it was a little quieter in here because everybody's screaming and yelling and, dare I say, hooting and hollering inside the Hooters. You've been there. If you've been there, you've been there. You know what I'm talking about. ECW One Night Stand 2005 was more than just a reunion at the Hammerstein Ballroom. After celebrating the hardcore outlaw brand, Paul Heyman came to the ring to not only acknowledge how ECW changed the industry, which they did, but tear the Raw and SmackDown superstars down a few pegs in a promo that had the Philly faithful chanting, EC Dub, EC Dub. Yes, they chanted it loud and proud, as we did know. But I've said it a million times, without ECW, I don't know if I would have stuck watching wrestling. So I owe a debt of gratitude to the ECW land. And how about that? I love that background here. You got ECW looking good. And then inside here, I never noticed it, and I don't think it's going to pull up on the camera. It looks like it's Paul Heyman's autograph down in the bottom. I don't know if all the defining moments have been that way, and I just missed that. But it does, down where his feet would go, it does say Paul Heyman. So that is pretty cool, all things considered. Now I wish, oh, no, I take it back. I was going to say I wish this came out, and it does come out. So how about that right there? ECW One Night Stand Paul Heyman. So you could dress this up, do something, get something display going on if you wanted to, or you can give it the old see you later, goodbye. And that's what I just did right there. Plastic Paul Heyman prison, looking extra dangerous is what that looks like to me. But of course, we got to have some twist ties here. He's a dangerous individual, Paul Heyman. And that was ECW. And that was part of the fun with ECW back in the day, was there was always a sense of danger. You never knew what was going to happen. You know, obviously, I don't think you thought people were going to die. But I remember as a kid, a teenager, watching it, like, this New Jack guy's jumping off the top of the building, topping off there. He's going to kill himself. He's going to kill somebody. I remember just the danger that it felt like was always around every turn. And I guess there was that danger around every turn. So special time. If you were there, you were there. And it's just not the same watching on the network or on YouTube when they blur out, or I don't know if blur out's the right word, but they drowned out the music. The original music was such a big part of ECW. What are we doing? See you later, goodbye. It was such a big part of it. If you know, you know. That's what I'm saying. So there it is. But let's get down to Paul Heyman here. Let's start with these accessories. Let's start with the headphones here. He's got the cans on. That's what we used to call it in my radio days. Put your cans on. Don't forget those on. Get out of here, radio school teacher. I'll do what I want to do. I'm just a senior in high school. Leave me alone. But we did get these. We've seen these with Michael Cole. We've seen these with Corey Graves lately. Unfortunately, way too big. They need to dial these back a little bit. I will say they do fit a little bit better on Paul Heyman, which is nice, but still a little bit heavy in there. So they're all in black, looking very good. Diving into the extra hands, we got a gripping hand and a pointer finger out of the package. We get the exact opposite ones if you want to mix them up or move them around. And then we do get the splayed out hands here. Now these hands may come in useful for the Stone Cold Steve Austin defining moment. If you want to move those over to him, we can dive into that maybe in a separate video. Stay tuned for that Stone Cold unboxing, the Kurt Angle and the Logan Paul. Don't forget him and his striper gear. We'll get down to those in the future here on the channel. Paul Heyman got a big rubber band around the waist. Got to hold that jacket in. But now we're diving into Paul Heyman. And dare I say, this could be my favorite Paul Heyman figure ever. I like a lot about this one. But we're going to start it off with the head sculpt here. You got the ECW hat going on. 2 ears. 2 ears? Yes, 2 ears. 2 eyes and a nose. And messing myself up. And some white, shiny teeth. Some of the best dental work there on the ECW, guys. All that health insurance ECW had once upon a time. But looking good, and it's a very devious Paul Heyman. It looks like him cutting the promo. It's you, it's us against them, and all that kind of stuff. I can just see that there. Got the ponytail sticking out the back of the hat. That's a look. I should adopt that look. Maybe I'll start that here soon. Looking very good, but I like it. We got a new Paul Heyman head. I'd be interested to see if they ever reuse this head. I have to imagine you gotta get the most out of your molds, most out of your head sculpts. Maybe we'll get some more ECW Paul Heymans in the future. Or they could easily take that ECW logo off the hat, and maybe this could be part of a Brock Lesnar Paul Heyman in the future, as that is another look around this time they could do. And we haven't got that yet, so I could see that coming sooner rather than later. But looking good in the head sculpt. Like that a whole lot. Now, he does got the ECW laminate 2006 or 8. Is it an 8 or a 6? I'm not exactly sure. Todd McFarlane, go get my spectacles. And I usually use a monocle is what I usually do. Like a young Mr. Peanut, but it looks like it says 2006 or 2008. I don't know, but it said 2005 on the back of the package. So a lot of confusion going on. A lot of confusion here. But it looks good. I love the big overcoat jacket here in black. Got the Velcro on the side or on the front there. You do get the high collar, so he's welcome right into Club Grayskull if need be. You also get the big hood over the top. So if it's a rainy day, you can protect his hair if he needs to. But quite the jacket here. I can only imagine how much he was sweating. If you've ever been to a live pay-per-view or live TV taping and you've been down there in those front rows under the lights, it gets hot. Can you imagine wearing a full-on suit plus that over the top? He had to smell just awful. And then you get this garbage bag style coat going there. It must have been just brutal. Just brutal. I can only imagine. But underneath here, it looks like we got our traditional Paul Heyman body we've recently got here. Between, what was that, From the Vault, and there was a 3-pack once upon a time with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, but it is painted in like a blackish brown color, not quite as black as the coat, but pretty black, all things considered. But does look good. It looks like Paul Heyman to me, and I can see that more of these Paul Heyman figures coming in the future. They got to reuse this jacket. This jacket is very, very nice. Not sure who else they could put this one for. There's been a few guys that have worn jackets like this, though, over the years. Undertaker, one of them. Many others. ECW microphone comes with this one. I almost forgot about that. Love to get an ECW branded microphone. Always nice to see that. I'm sure it's got the it's got the WWE logo with the ECW logo right over it. I understand that. Gotta get the most out of your molds. Is what it is. Now the jacket is removable if you want it to be, just like the microphone, so you can take that off. And I guess we'll take that jacket off right now. Why wouldn't we? Let's strip him down. Let's strip old Paul Heyman down. Looking very good. Looking like the Penguin, too, with that jacket is what he looks like a lot. And you get some fuzzies out of that jacket. Nice to see those in here. All right, let me straighten him out a little bit. We got Paul Heyman in his suit. Now, where's this arm? A little wonky there in the arm department. I might have to heat that arm up. It does not want to move. Looks like it's fused in there almost. And we'll dial it in later. But the arms do go all the way around on this one. You do get the bicep cut. You do get a double-jointed pinless elbow. Hands removable back forth side to side. Head removable back forth side to side. Waist articulation. No ab crunch on this one. He does got the shirt and tie underneath there in blue and a gray and white tie. Looks like Build-A-Figure legs down here. Double-jointed pinless knees. Thigh cut as well. Then you got the leg that goes up. Uh-oh. We got the Vietnam problems once again. Vietnam bounce back. It's here. It's for Paul Heyman as well. You can see that. It's a little bit of an action feature here that we don't want. Other leg, same thing. So the leg's not going up. Now, the nice thing about this one with Paul Heyman is he's not going to be doing aerobics for you. He's pretty much going to be standing there in the ring or standing on outside of the ring or standing on a shelf. So it shouldn't be too big of an issue. But I do got the Vietnam problem on here. So it continues. Not ready to wave that white Vietnam flag quite yet. Ankles, a little bit of up and down, back and forth. Nothing to write home about. Got some maroon dress shoes down low. Looking good, though. Looking like Paul Heyman, and I really do like this figure a whole lot. I'm glad we got this. I would love to see more from this style of, or this era of wrestling, 2005. I would love to see more Ruthless Aggression figures. I would love to see more characters or performers more like it from ECW One Night Stand and some lines. Would love to see some of that. Maybe. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. But this Paul Heyman worth picking up for that era, or if you want to put it in your traditional ECW time frame as ECW owner Paul Heyman, that works as well. But we got other ECW figures of Paul Heyman. We got one from Jakks in the Ruthless Aggression line. Absolutely love this figure. Obviously, constant learning, constant improvement. It's been 15 plus years here between these two. Nice to get a brand new version of this, but I still do like the Jakks one. You know me. I'm a Jakks guy. I'm a classics guy at the end of the day. Looking good there. We got NWA, WCW, USWA, AWA, early ECW, Paul Heyman. We got that going on. And then we got Paul Heyman, the one we kind of know about this day and age, which wouldn't be against another modern era Paul Heyman. I think there's some meat on the bone, a lot of meat on the bone in this day and age, but I think there is some room for some more modern day Paul Heymans, more ECW Paul Heymans, and then definitely Brock Lesnar era Paul Heyman. I think we can get some of those. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But Paul Heyman Defining Moments is truly a defining moment. Happy to have this one in my collection. But what say you guys and gals out there? You happy to have this one in your collection? You looking to add this to your collection? Do you need this in your collection? Let me know in the comments down below. You made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some. We got even more content for you over there on Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com, which conveniently enough is the name of my podcast, Kyle Peterson Show. Join me and my wife Angie every single Tuesday wherever podcasts are found with video cast on YouTube. So for Paul Heyman, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
I'm solid gold. I've got the goods. They stand with